Yeah, this is Will Steger here at Global Warming 101 Expeditions. Magic day here. We're hooking up. We've got a good wind chill here, probably about 50-55 below zero. We're all set.
Hey, this is Sam Branson. We're here outside Resolute, the hotel. We've been packing up our things. We're looking forward to everyone's in good spirits. We've packed up the sleds. We're now just setting out the lines and we're going to set off on our 2-month adventure.
We're off for the expedition.
We're all really excited. It's a great group. It's going to be really amazing.
When you see the changes like we saw, the collapse of the Arctic Ocean and traveling on that sea ice that broke up, and this was the tipping point. The Arctic Ocean broke up. All this ice went down into the area that we were traveling in. And to experience that firsthand, it does change your life, changes your perspective. And I think it has a tendency of making people more committed. Our goal is we had several goals. One, we wanted to bring our audience to the front lines of global warming. We did that mainly through the websites, a little bit through the media. And not only working with our 6 emerging leaders were basically our conduit to that generation. It wasn't just for their sake, but it was the way to reach the younger generation, of course, is through their peer group. And so we wanted to bring the eyewitness account. Our main goal, though, was to really inspire people into action. Other than showing, okay, this is a real disaster here, look at what's happening. The need that we need to really take this on in a real positive way. Look at alternative ways that we can change our lifestyle for the better, and also increase our quality of life. And so we hope through the project and through the ongoing efforts that we're doing is to inspire people to really take action, because unless we really take action in our personal lives and in our own circle of influence, it's a great entertainment, great project, but it doesn't get anywhere. So one of the major successes of the team is just incredibly molded together, really great friends. Success of an expedition could be in different ways. And I first of all look at a team. Did we set a good example? We want people to cooperate and get along and take this on in a very positive light. And the team did really well on that. We didn't make our ultimate objectives of the ice shelves because we were stopped by this unexpected ice that plugged away. But that was, in a way, I felt very fortunate to have traveled through that and actually saw that ourselves. And then the real plus, we saw a lot more wildlife. We documented a lot of that. The wildlife area, the wolf, muskox, rabbit population is all very strong. As it's warming up there, for now at least, there's more vegetation, and that ecosystem is thriving quite well. The bears are in that region okay for now. Bears will suffer it a little bit, but yeah, we reached millions of people. We got a lot of great media coverage. I have to look at it as an investment because we have sponsors and investment of a huge amount of time. But I felt it was well worthwhile, the effort and the money that we put into it to get the word out. It wasn't just straight awareness and education. A lot of the work we do is policy. We want to drive our lawmakers, both Republicans and Democrats, into the right direction here and making good decisions, and especially in the policy level. So our work is a lot to do with policy, and that's ongoing. So if you inspire several million people, especially the younger generation, and they're moving forward, and that helps us on our policy work. So it's an investment that you put in, and it keeps growing. It isn't just one expedition, but it's an ongoing effort to move policy through general education and inspiration of people. The northernmost part of the continent, 500 miles from the North Pole, the northernmost part of North America, there are the remnants of the last ice shelves. These are from the last ice age. They're basically almost extension of glaciers that go out onto the ocean, a thick mass of freshwater ice. These are breaking up. 2 years ago, the Isles Ice Shelf, which was one of the largest of the remaining ice shelves, broke. A big section of it, the size of Manhattan, broke off. And in 2 years, it drifted down into the area where we were in. Actually, that was our first objective, was to get to the Isles.
And right underneath us at the moment is Isles. Roughly 10,000 years old, and an average depth of something like 40 feet of ice, old ice. It's an ice shelf, or once was an ice shelf, that's now broken off. It's an ice island at the moment. It's kind of one of the last remaining ice islands. Most of the other big ones, T1 through 3, Some of the other fun ones all broke off a long time ago, kind of in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, floated around the Arctic Ocean and eventually disintegrated. So it's pretty rare to have an ice island left over at the moment.
But this ice shelf, if you were familiar and you traveled up there, was totally out of place. It was almost like a piece of Antarctica in the wrong place. Everybody was, pretty silent at first as to the reality of what we were looking at.
No, it's nice, but it's sad in the same way. Guess shouldn't really have been here, but it's special. 10,000 years old.
Well, this is one of the Isles, or remains of the Ellesmere Ice Shelf, named after Adam Isles, who was a young team member on the Nares expedition in the 1875-76, which was a big Royal Navy expedition. Adam Isles then put his name on the Isles Fjord in northern Ellesmere, and hence also this piece of ice that is now far away from the Isles Fjord.
What that represents is a change in not only the climate but for the human race, an era that we will never go back to what we have right now. And, I mean, the climate is changing so quickly that something like this large could actually break off and happen. It was quite striking, I think. I think it was really good for my 6 team members in their 20s to see, because this is something that they, I'm sure, will never forget, and really will motivate them to try to correct the problem.
So its 10,000 year life is coming to a sad and bitter end.
Yeah, I think what's left in Ellesmere, they're breaking up. I can't predict when they'll all be gone, but probably within a decade or so, most of them will be gone. And the ice shelves that have traveled in Antarctica are all broken up, and there's more of the major ice shelves in Antarctica that are threatened. And so this is really serious. The ice shelves in Antarctica buttress against the continent, and when they break off, all the glaciers that are flowing down, as long as they're there, the glaciers aren't really moving fast, but when they break off, the glaciers move real quickly into the ocean. So it represents the start of the sea level rise. When the ice shelves break up, the ice comes down from Antarctica into the water, and that's the concern that scientists have. The area that we were in was I mentioned, normally flat, but this time, because of the breakup of the Arctic Ocean, was really rough ice, and this rough ice brought in a lot of polar bears. But it'd be nice to get out of here. It's like a minefield of bears. They're all over the place here. Within the rough ice, you have drifting snow, huge snow drifts, 20 feet high. And within these snow drifts are the seals that are giving birth to the seal pups. They're snooping around in the big snow drifts here looking for seal pups. So they're going back and forth, checking everything, trying to find the seals. We had, I believe, about 7 or 8 actual encounters where they came in on, close to us, into our camp, or close to us on the dog teams. But one day we saw 20 different types of bear tracks, different sizes in that. So we were really in this kind of a crossfire of bears. Polar bear population is declining sort of right in the fringes of the Arctic. About 20% of that, the population of the bears are being affected. The other 80% in the central Arctic, the regions where we're in, the bear population is still extremely healthy. There's no problem there at all yet. But as global warming increases, their habitat, of course, is the sea ice. They rely on the sea ice to hunt. 95% of their diet is this ring seal that lives on the ice. So if they lose their sea ice, they can't hunt, and they'll be extinct. So as the sea ice is starting to diminish smaller and smaller, that population will be more and more concentrated. If we move really quickly, we perhaps could save the bear. But we're looking at probably an extinction of at least 50% of the species on the Earth. And the mass extinction is really what motivates me. To me, global warming is a very serious moral issue. I feel human beings will adapt some way or another, but that's not true for the innocence of the world, of the plant life and the animal life, which is really vulnerable at this point. And we really need to see our connection of our habits and how we're changing the world to that. But the moral implications of global warming is, I think, very serious to most people. Once they see the reality of this, that's one of the things that really motivates them. We had about probably 400 or 500 miles of extremely rough ice where it should have been flat ice, but this was the broken up ice from the Arctic Ocean that drifted down into that area. But it was just a lot of work. I mean, we worked 10, 12 hours a day sometimes to make 8 miles. So it was an unexpected.
We'll just name the Valley of Death here. Today we thought we were going to have an easy travel with making lots of miles, and then we ended up in the worst rough ice that we've seen so far on the trip. And that means we got to pave not pave literally, but make about 100 meters of road here in order to get the sleds through. A lot of work, just get rid of the biggest ice chunks, and then very soon we're going to send through the first team.
Much better than it did half an hour ago. It looked a bit like that, and then now it looks like this. It's pretty good. Paving our way through. And then we had a little visit from a polar bear in the middle of it.
I figured that must have been the breakup of the Arctic Ocean. When we got back, we talked to the ice scientists, and they confirmed what we were experiencing. With the rough ice, we had changed the whole route because it was obvious that we weren't going to be able to travel 1,200 miles. So we rerouted ourselves slightly around that. But we just basically had to work a lot harder. I think it was very good for the team. Challenges like that usually breaks a team up or molds a team together. The team was pushing all the way. There was no issue. I didn't have to motivate anybody. These were extreme athletes and very good shape, and day after day. And it wasn't just a 10-hour day that we put in on the ice, but in the evening we worked a lot of times till 11, 12 at night to do the online program. Every day we did the written dispatches with pictures, and then we did the oral dispatch with satellite phone where we just called in. So on a daily basis we switched off every other day, and all took turns on that. 90% of our food was organic, and I normally eat organic anyway, but it was just not only a statement, but it was important for us to, you're eating high-fat butter, for example, like a stick of butter a day. If it's organic, it really does help you out a little bit. But organic energy efficiency, again, through the website, we did a lot of different things that people could do. We powered all of our electronics, everything, cameras were powered by solar. All the electricity came from the sun. Later in the expedition we had white wolves. We had a pack of 11 that came in right into the dogs, and they were trying to socialize with our dogs. I don't think they had any ill intent in mind, but I've seen these wolves up there before. They're very social, they're very curious about the dogs. So we had a lot of wolves that continually became the nuisance, almost like mosquitoes. They kept coming in middle of the night, during the day, visiting the dogs, but that was pretty unusual. We got some very good footage of that. Yeah, we came back. We flew right back. First day we were in New York City, believe it or not, and we met Al Gore that the second evening that we were there. And I asked him. I'd worked with Al in the '80s on the climate change issues before. And asked him about the ice, and he was very familiar with that. He said that was the breakup of the Arctic Ocean, and he did give us the top ice scientists that we called up, and they confirmed. And they were actually curious to get our sort of boots on the ground analysis of what we saw, because they observed this through satellite photos, but no one had ever been on the ground there to observe that. I think I'm sure that we were the first ones to travel through it.
Will's going to the Arctic and showing what's actually happening now, I think makes the message much clearer. We can talk about the science and about the theory, but you need to see what is really happening. And that is what he shows so wonderfully. And also, he is successful in getting young people and educators, and that's what we have to do so that the next generation realizes what is at stake. And I think the combination of the science and the explorer part is what is very effective.
The younger generation gets so serious that when they're my age, the world is going to be totally different. Unfortunately, the start of the great sea level rise is already starting. I think we've already reached that tipping point where we still have some control in the next 10 years if we take it serious. If we can level off our carbon emissions, that'll be a major victory for the human race. But even if we do that, global, when carbon dioxide gets into the atmosphere, the majority of that stays for 100 years. So we're going to see some major changes. But it's not that we don't have solutions. We have a lot of solutions. The whole issue here is to get the younger generation really taking ownership of this,